I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
You ate it, Ralph.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
No, Ralph.
I can't believe.
Best, you know.
What?
Shit. Music. Music is one.
So would you
My
say
family,
yourself?
Yeah,
Yourself?
yeah. Music would be one, of course, absolutely. Family would be another thing. Family and I mean, throughout the years, I've kind of developed a different idea. You know, buying a house out here in San Diego would be another thing too. You know, to me, it's you know, how smart can you be with your money? How are you going to spend your money, and how are you going to be able to distribute it and benefit? Of course, you want to help other people too that are in need, and you want to help your own cause or what you believe in. So to me, that's that's one of the things I would do with money. So I would take care of myself, but in the process, try to help out others as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's what's up. I feel that.
Yeah.
I'm off. When did you start, putting a pen to the paper? When you start rapping?
Shit, bro.
Music-wise?
You know what? I had to be in, I had to be in maybe 6th, 7th grade. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I'm gonna give a shout out. You probably don't even know that, but I think you might know him, Rudy. Do you know Esco?
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, yo, we were in a couple classes. Yo, shout out to
know him as Esco.
yo, shout out to that dude. But
he put you on, huh?
I wouldn't say that, but I know he was writing some of his raps out there. We were going to grade school out there, and I know that's when I started writing some of my raps right there too.
He's doing some crazy shit now. He's on some like Pitbull type.
I think
shit.
he's doing some other shit right now too, but
not the dog, but the artist.
Yeah, like he's starting
That's
to
like.
tap into these elements right now of reggaeton and stuff like that, trying to calculate in that market. But shit, bro, I remember.
Matter of fact, Jay, I think I showed you a video of him like a few months ago.
Yeah, but it's a trip, man. Like that's one of the cats I remember that was first writing raps, and I was kind of out there writing raps too, and it was pretty funny because at that time this had to be like maybe, and I'm just throwing numbers.
Right.
This was probably in '98 or '99.
Okay.
And at this time, Eminem was
99.
popping. Eminem was popping off like crazy.
I still remember buying that album.
Yeah. Fucking the EP was the EP or the LP, like.
The Marshall Mathers LP.
The LP.
I bought that and Crying 2001 at the same time.
See, I had a homie that had that track, and I would he would let me borrow it. I'd tell him, hey, yo, let me grab that real quick.
Yeah, okay.
And so from there, like I got my first raps, and I remember my first raps being
So did that inspire you to write? I guess
a little bit. Yeah.
His influence, and then buying these albums.
I gotta say his shit, influenced me, because that's what I remember my first raps. I was being like 12 years old.
That's cool.
Putting I'm gonna get a motherfucking chainsaw and skin your ass raw. That was my first shit. I was the first, and I always remember that shit. You always remember
whatever.
I don't come in much times, but that was enough for me to come in and be like, whoa.
Yeah. So. Like some shit like that, and I think Eminem's shit had a big influence on that. Like, where I was like,
that?
fuck, Eminem. Like, no, he didn't say that, but he would, the shit he was saying at that time, fucking
like that.
It was controversial shit, where he's gonna kill somebody or he's gonna fucking rape somebody or fucking some shit,
Yeah.
And it had me where like, fuck, I had to rap something like that, I was on that vibe, and it was a trip. I mean, but at that time, you also had Chronic 2001. I think Nelly had just came out with this fucking country grammar shit. Like that
was around the same time.
Yeah. And that's when I wanted to really start writing, and and
that was huge. That was a huge.
That was a real big.
There was a lot of great.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in that time. I mean, even at that time, like a lot of the Chicano movement would fucking even
it's pretty big.
Inspire me. Yeah, you would shout out to Little Rob, Night Owl, and all them that are doing out there, because that's when you're a little kid growing up in the valley and shit like that, you kind of get inspired by that culture.
Right.
And you go to the car shows and all that shit, and all these cats are doing. Mr. Capone's another one. That's another one that the first autograph album that I had.
Really?
I know. Seeing me right now. It's like
chances. I don't know. How do you feel about that shit?
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? No, but when you're a kid, when you're like,
Respect.
here's the thing though. But when you're 14 or 13 years old, trying to be a rapper, in the valley, that's what you see, you know, like that's kind of, that's the movement, is the Chicano vibe and the car shows.
I agree and disagree. It just depends on the circle that you might have been around in most often. But I'm not saying that you're wrong. All I'm saying is that I get it.
There are different outlets.
I had a couple of homies who were bumping that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And to me, it opened up my eyes to like, oh shit, there's more than just.
I think it's because
didn't they have La Gente car show?
It's the norm out there.
Yeah. But if you,
I rocked a couple of shows at lowrider events.
But if you,
I rocked a couple of shows back home.
But if you revert back, like Bone Thugs was also a big influence in the Chicano movement at that time.
It really did.
It really
did. Lot of, especially what's his name, Crazy Bone and
exactly.
Was it Wishbone or no?
Lazy Bone.
Lazy Bone. Yeah, they were doing a lot of stuff with Mexican artists. That was really interesting.
They were so. That did also have a big influence, and I think growing up as a little kid, you kind of see that, and you see the vibe going to these car shows and just growing up in the hood and all that shit.
So let me ask you this real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you for 2 quick seconds here, but being that you have a very, very good idea of who you are as far as your who influenced you to help with your talent, how is it that you look at yourself and you say, this is the kind of lane I want to be in? When you're rapping, you obviously have an image, or at least, I'm sorry, excuse me, that was lack of a better word, but you have a, almost like a plan, like a blueprint of who you want to be, right? And be respected in your craft, right? Because you obviously work hard at it. How are you able to differentiate that and put yourself in a space where you're unique?
I think for one of my aspects is that I'm not and I know a lot of people say this, but to me, I'm willing to experiment when it comes to music. Like, I'm willing to do vocals. I'm willing to work with bands. Like, here's the thing. Like, to me, hip-hop is not just my main influence. Like, it's also rock and roll, jazz, blues, Albert King, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, The Cars, The Doors, Metallica, Alice in Chains, the grunge era.
That's a very broad.
I mean,
that's
what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
where does that influence come from?
I think a lot of it is that
spectrum scale.
I think a lot of it is just being so exposed to different types of music and
from your parents.
Yeah, who's responsible for that? Was it or like who?
Yeah, I think my pops. Like my pops.
Really?
What
did your pops listen to?
You know what? My pops used to listen to a lot of rock and roll in the 80s.
Oh, cool.
My pops is from the KGs.
Guys,
yeah, salute to the KGs out there in Calesia. Like my pops shout out to everybody out there. Like that's and pops get
small
well.
World, man. Small world. Yeah, there's a lot of good dudes right there, man. Salute.
Yeah, and like like I said, I got fam, like the homies out there. A lot of people that grew up in that area, and I mean that was really
That's history.
There's a lot of history out there. There's a lot of history. And I know my family grew up a lot of
Does
rock
anybody
and
know
roll.
what KG's is? I mean, everybody here does, but I mean, you should probably KG. What is KG's?
It's out in Calexico, the Kennedy Gardens out there.
Gardens.
Yeah. And that's where my nana grew up, and my family and my uncles. We'd chill out there every weekend, and we'd be drinking and listen to old school music, corridos, rock and roll too. Though, my uncles and my pops were kind of bringing that new wave in too, where a lot of people were listening to rock and roll.
Yeah,
like
the cholo rock and roll shit was.
Rock and roll shit was
a
lot of so that was a real big influence at that time. So that's where I get a lot of that I think that's what kind of makes me a little bit unique and different, is that I was able to grasp into that.
They're like dun 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 dun. That shit.
Lowrider.
Yeah.
Yeah, the low.
But like that era, that's what I'm saying. Like
exactly. War was a big influence too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah.
So it was a trip, man. It was a trip going up there, and I got a lot of love for that. I grew up in a big family. I mean, my pop's family had I think 12, they were all 12. Well, I know 12 brothers and sisters. So I had like 30 or 40 different cousins. So I mean, I got a lot of family out in the valley. Yeah. I got a lot of family out there in the valley, and a lot of different places. So, to me, it's always like, that's a really deep part in my life that I don't think a lot of people know, but that's what helped me influence me and helped me be so different and creative than the norm that you would see in the valley, and that people would kind of look at and say like, well, what is he on? Or, I never seen that shit, so I don't know about. So, but I love that. You know, I embrace that. I embrace that I'm different and that I can, you know, bring something new to the table.
Been on a mission, 4 years on a marathon. Stadium market, 2 blunts and I'm taking off. On the road again, I'm set out to make a movement. Hit the boulevard on a pace where I'm cruising. I'm working on my grind as an entrepreneur. Career not a dream, so while you sleep and move over. I'm in a race to win like a jockey at the Del Mar. Leave you in the dust, turn to glue in a quick spark. Ace is the name and I'm a slave to the company. The lava's where I'm in. If you wanna come and fuck with me, the golden triangle is what I'm working on. Stuck with wild